Last time you saw the Dirty 30, we made the wild decision to cut the chassis in half and actually extend it 350 mils. Fast forward to today, I'm a day out from going to Cape York, and how good does it look? I reckon this has turned out amazingly well. I do have another Dirty 30, which means a lot to me, and some other really cool rigs, but this is the rig I started my career in, so it does mean a lot to me. There's a lot of sentimental value in this truck right here. Want to check it out? Go with me. So let's start with the front. You probably saw me wrap the coat this one. I literally just gave it a good sand down and gave it a bit of wrap the coating. But my mate Dale actually went one step further and realised that I'm going to need some sliders and some brush bars as well. So he actually modified it slightly and put on these brush rails and also a custom set of sliders. As you can see, the paint job is absolutely, you know, it's amazing, and it's the original champagne colour as well. You're probably thinking it's some fancy new car colour. It's not, it's an original Toyota colour, and I like it a lot. So it's all together now. Right at the front here, we've got a Runva winch. Obviously I'm going to need that. That's running on 24 volt as well, because this is actually a 24 volt 12 HT motor. So it's nice and fast. Got a set of Stedi lights. Now these are the new Pro Pluses, and what's so cool about these is you can actually modify them to suit your rig, and that's exactly what I've done. I've chosen the retro look, and I reckon it really suits this rig because it's an old 60 series at the end of the day. It's got the leaf springs and all. These really suit it, and of course I've chucked UHF in here, and I'll show you more on that a little bit later because I actually stole it from one of my other rigs, and I think that's pretty cool. Come with me, let's see inside. How good does it look in here? I'm actually going to jump in because it's such a comfortable interior. I just love how those doors shut. This is 60 series Toyota. It's over 40 years old, this rig, and the doors still shut like a new car. Anyway, the interior, as you can see, has come a long way and actually looks really flash. Of course, I'm missing a big stereo system or anything. It's got no stereo in it, to be fair, but I didn't get time for that one. Like I said, it's not 100% finished, and I'll have to finish a few little tiny touches off when I get back from the Cape. But for now, I'm ready. It turns on, it starts. You know, if you don't believe me, check this out. Listen to this. 12 HT straight away. One little click of the key and she fires up. Pretty cool stuff. Now, probably thinking, what's this? This is a Department of Interior center console. It's been custom made for the 60 series. They make center consoles for just about every sort of four-wheel drive out there, and this one here works so well. I got it done in like a black color because it sort of suits the headlining that I've got. I've got all my switches here as well, plus a bunch of USBs and SIG socket. Also a place to mount my UHF, and get this right, a Dometic fridge right as a center console. So I've got an armrest, I've got a cup holder, cup holder, cup holder, cup holder, cup holder, cup. So 6 cup holders. How good is that? I mean, you tell me an old LandCruiser that can hold 6 cups. I mean, a brand new 79 series can't even hold one. So I'm doing pretty darn good. Now, I was talking about the UHF before. This is an XRS. You know, all my rigs are fitted with this, but what's so cool about this one is I literally just today grabbed it off Sooty. I've got a new one for Sooty, and I thought there's nothing wrong with the old one, so it's going straight into this build, and I've just got it sitting right there. Real simple setup, but they're nice and loud, and you need that in an old rig. And then of course you've got the seats. Now these aren't aftermarket seats. These are actually the original Dirty 30 seats. So the original Dirty 30 was a Sahara, and it used to actually have a high roof. Now we cut into a ute, we've cut the roof off, we've grafted a low roof onto here, but we kept the seats. Well, we actually tracked the seats down. An absolute legend had these sitting in his shed, and as soon as he heard I was restoring this rig, he said, mate, you've got to have them. So he gave me back the old seats, and they're still in really, really good condition. And I just love the fact the original seats are still in here, and guess what? They're going to do a stack of miles more. Another thing I want to show you, I have to get out, is my 12 volt system because it's behind my seat. And I want to show you this one. It's got the Redworks panel from REDARC, a 25 amp charger. It's a basic sort of system, and it's plug and play. It can be as easy as you want them to be because they're all pre-wired, ready to run. That whole charging outfit can be bolted anywhere inside a canopy or behind, you know, the driver's seat like I have right here. But at the end of the day, it's a nice, easy solution for most people. My mates over at Pinnacle put a full system in here whereby I've got 200 amps of battery and I've got all my accessories wired up, ready to go. So I've got stacks of power in this thing to run 2 fridges. I've also got a compressor which lies right behind the passenger seat right here, and I've got a bunch of camp lights and other cool accessories like that. And a big thanks to my mates over at Pinnacle. Steve and the boys over there have done an amazing job working tirelessly around the clock to get this ready with such a tight deadline. At one stage, there's no doubt I thought there's not a chance we'd taken this rig to Cape York, and here I am. And of course my mate Dale at 2D Extreme Fabrication, he's pulled out all stops as well to get me on the road. I rang him up super late notice after I couldn't find anything on Facebook Marketplace that would suit this rig. I said, mate, I really need a tray. He said, do you want me to make you one? And I said, yes please. And here's the result. He's, you know, guy's an absolute wizard. There's no doubt about it. He's one of the better fabricators you'll ever meet. And look at the job. And I got him to build it like this on purpose, because if you remember the real old Dirty 30, one of the cool things about my tray setup, and there wasn't many cool things about that tray, mind you, but one thing I really liked was the headboard was basically twin tube like this. It just was a certain look that I had, and I really liked that one. So that was one of the requirements. I wanted that, and I also wanted some tray sliders. So it's a steel tray with an aluminium floor. So I'm trying to keep the weight down out of it a little bit and also keep it real strong. So it's nice and strong with the steel, but it's got these sliders which also make fantastic tie down points as well. The other cool thing is I've got tube guards here. So, you know, all I'm trying to do is protect this awesome rig. So when I, you know, lean up against a tree or something like that, this is what's going to cop the brunt first up, which is super strong, rather than my tray sides, which obviously can flex quite easily. Now, the next thing I'd probably like to do if we have a bit more time is maybe make a toolbox for in here. That's what it probably needs. But you know what, it's going to get me to Cape York like this, and I'm really, really stoked. I've got the drop down fridge slide in here as well. So, you know, tray slides just open up. Really is super easy, and then it folds straight down, and I've got my Dometic 55 litre in here. I stole this one out of the other Dirty 30, and this fridge slide is what I used to have in my 200 series. So as you can probably tell by now, with the radio, some of the other gear that I've got, there's bits that I had laying in my shed or I've taken off other vehicles because I might have upgraded or something like that. And the gear's such good quality that you can just reuse it. That's what I love about getting good quality four-wheel drive gear. And obviously this drops right down, so makes it really easy to get to the beers. And you know, that's what I'm sort of going for when I'm at camp. I've just got my fridge out, which is real easy. I can get into that, and I've got all this tray space as well, so obviously slides in real easy too. It gets away, you can pack up, bang, and you're back on the road. Let's talk about the lighting on the rig. You know, it's not crazy lighting, but I've got two of these Stedi micro touch lights. These camp lights are fantastic. They're actually marine lights, and I was going to put these on my boat, and I again saw them in the shed, and I thought, you know, these are going to work perfectly on this rig, because the marine lights are designed to take on some of the harshest conditions, and being outdoors in a tray like this, well, it's going to do exactly that. And the cool thing is these are micro touch. So as soon as they're turned on inside the rig, they've got micro touch switches. So I can just come up to this light, and bang, they're on just like that. The other really cool thing as well, you can turn these ones off and they have a red light. Now, a lot of the camp lights will use an amber, but I think it's going to be kind of cool and look a little bit different as well. And I kind of like that. And you can tilt these down as well. So if I've got things going on here, which this is with my sort of cooking and meal prep and all that sort of jazz, like my camping side, the other side I've got tools and other bits and pieces. So I'll be doing a lot of cooking and stuff over this side of the rig probably. So being able to move that around, I'll be able to see what I'm doing, actually see a bit inside the tray. Now I'll put this tray side back up. I want to show you something else that I really like about it. One of the other requirements, I told Dale about the tray, I said, what I'd really like is I'd like a rooftop tent on this rig. Now you notice I don't really go into rooftop tents that much. I usually roll the swag out, but I was thinking, you know what? I've got a fancy interior. I might go for a bit of luxury at the back as well. And I decided to put this Darche tent on. And I wanted it as well. Instead of being like right up the top of the roof like most rooftop tents normally are, I wanted to sink it down to be in line with basically the roof and the roll bar here. A good camp setup is a quick camp setup. I don't care what anyone says. If it takes you more than about a minute to get camp set up, I reckon that's way too long. So all I need to do is check this out. Just do that. Just push that up. And I've got myself the full penthouse. This is the Darche Light-Rise 1200, and it's a cracker of a tent. I haven't even slept in it yet. That's how new it is. It doesn't matter where you are, you can be in bed in a matter of about 30 seconds. I reckon that's winning. another thing that I wanted to be able to do is just get this on a quick release system, because there's nothing worse than losing your mud flap when you're driving on a few rocks or something. Every time you reverse, it tends to get caught under your tyre and just pops them off. So I can quick release these guys, and as you saw, it does not take very long to put these on and off. It takes about 2 seconds really. Exhaust has been modified to suit. But one of the really cool things about this rig is I've got a Brown Davis tank in here. Now they do vary between the different models, but this particular model of 60 series only had a 65 litre main tank. As far as I'm concerned, that wasn't going to cut it, and I decided to go with a Brown Davis long range tank. This is actually 175 litres, and I've just got the one tank in there, and it sits beautifully in the back of the vehicle. It's up nice and high too, so it's not going to cause an issue with any clearance, yet I'll never need to take a jerry can with me. 175 litres in this rig is going to last me for nearly the whole of the Cape, which I'm really excited about. And it's just one thing you need to worry about, having your fuel capacity up there to a level where you can do remote area travel without needing to worry about fuel. How good's that, hey? Especially with the prices of diesel these days, it really does pay to fill up when it's nice and cheap before you get into remote destinations. So that's why I put the tank in, and it's going to serve me well on my next trip in Cape York. I'll show you around the other side. So as you can see, I've got a dirty gear bag that's just attached right here. Got my spare tyre. It does sit out a little bit because of the tent, but I kind of like that. It's really easy to get to. I've also got my first aid kit, which I can jam behind here. It's easy to access as well. I've got a basic case in here, which I've managed to bolt down to the tray, so that won't move anywhere. And it's a nice capacity whereby I can fit a stack of stuff. And at the moment, I've only got tools and stuff in here, but things are no doubt going to change a little bit until I get a system in place. But chances are I'll be able to fit everything I need plus more, because it's a huge tray space, 2.1 long, and I'll be able to fit heaps of goodies in here as well. And the fact that it does have the chassis extension means it's going to carry that weight really nicely. The axle sits sort of halfway in the tray, which is perfect for carrying weight. And no, I'm really excited to pack this up and start, you know, actually using this rig, because it's been a long time coming. The build's taken a little while, and I'm just so stoked it's got to this stage right now. Well, there you go. Time has come to pack the rig. I want to leave you with one last question. Which Dirty 30 do you like the most? Do you like the OG one with the square headlights, or do you like the Mark II with the round headlights? Now keep in mind, that's an absolute weapon. You've seen some of the tracks that thing does some more of the hardcore stuff, both here and of course the USA. This one though, the heart of this rig's already done over 400,000 kilometres in my hands. It's been around Australia a bunch of times, even though it looks this new, and something tells me I'm about to make a stack of memories with both this one and that one for many more years to come. But let us know in the comments, what do you like the best? This one or Mark II?